All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Greetings from the Garden State, powered by the New Jersey Lottery. I'm your host, Mike Ham. We're here in Hoboken today at Sirenetta with David Suk of St. Luna Spirits. David, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So first off, we'll throw a shout out to Sirenetta and Graham Sutton for allowing us to come in a little bit early, use the space. It's beautiful. We love it. So thank you to him, right?
Yep. Thank you, Graham. And we are actually in their space called Backstage,
Okay.
which is their fun, craftier cocktail spot, sort of like at the back of Sirenetta.
Yeah. No, it's cool. I mean, like walking through, I told you off mic before we got started, like I was coming to Jersey City a lot earlier in the year, excuse me, when we put on a big concert at White Eagle Hall in Jersey City. But Hoboken is just one place that like every time I come to, I'm like, man, I really need to come here more.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Food's delicious.
Yeah.
So I lived in the West Village for 12, 14 years. And when I started St. Luna, I ended up moving out to Hoboken.
Yeah.
It was in the middle of the pandemic. I got a great deal on my rent.
Beautiful.
And I've loved it ever since.
Yeah, that's amazing. And yeah, so it's like a vibe, especially like this area. I don't really know what this area of Hoboken is that we're in, but
This
I like
is the restaurant-y,
Yeah.
I think everybody that's like over 35 lives like up this way.
Okay, yeah.
It's like
and I'm
all the
34,
Stevens
but I
kids
feel like I
live
would
down.
like to live over here, this part of Hoboken.
All the Stevens kids live down, downtown a bit further.
Yeah. Okay, so before we kind of get started on your story and really start to dive into everything that we're here to talk about today, let's talk about what St. Luna is, kind of 30,000-foot view, what it is, what it's all about, what you guys make, and then we'll kind of take it from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So St. Luna is a craft moonshine, but what's really unique about it is our mash bill. So it's 95% grade A molasses out of northern Florida and 5% rye out of the Carolinas. Then we use a charred oak stave to filter it. So you kind of get this nice little like smoke and leather on the finish, like you would in an agave spirit. But what is fun is that it just depends on where your palate goes. Like when I try it, I tend to get a lot more of that molasses. So to me, it's much more of like a funky rum.
Sure.
Whereas you may try it, you may get more of that smoky leatheriness and think it's tequila. Somebody else may try it and get that pepper and that spice from that rye.
Interesting.
But it's fun because it lends itself to such a wide range of cocktails.
Yeah.
Like I make everything from Negronis, margaritas. I make old fashions and Manhattans with this that are just really, really tasty, gorgeous cocktails.
Yeah. And so let's talk about you then, because my next question was going to be, how do you get into something like this? But I feel like we should kind of lay the groundwork for you. Are you from Jersey originally?
I am not. I'm originally from New York.
All right, that's fine.
The majority of my family, though, lives in New Jersey.
Okay.
So it's one of those like old stories, right, where my great-grandmother immigrated here from England. She was from Liverpool, and they all lived in the Bronx. And my grandmother went out towards Long Island, New York, and then all her sisters went out towards Jersey.
Yeah,
so
a tale as old as time.
Right, like my great-grandma, until the day she died, lived in Montclair, New Jersey.
Yeah, it's my girlfriend's from.
Well, at the time she bought her house, it was not a fantastic neighborhood.
Sure.
Whereas now it's gorgeous.
Yeah, amazing.
I've got an aunt in Mendham and then just, family scattered all through Jersey.
Yeah. And so you come here during the pandemic, I think you said?
I did.
Right.
So I had a place in the West Village, and starting a liquor brand costs a lot of money.
Sure.
And I couldn't quite afford to live in the West Village, nor did I want to during the pandemic because nothing was open.
Yeah.
So I had a great opportunity to move out towards Hoboken and found a great apartment, and the rest was history.
Yeah. And so so I guess now that lends itself to the question. So what were you doing prior to starting St. Luna in 2019? Because I don't think we've said that on mic yet. If we did, my bad. But so 2019, March of 2019.
May of 2019.
Sorry, May of 2019, you started St. Luna Spirits. So what were you doing prior to that in your head you were like, man, I'm going to start a liquor company?
Well, I actually was selling baby blankets.
Okay, so that's clear. That's a clear path. I totally get it.
Totally clear path. I swear there is like a really fun story there.
Yeah.
So I was lucky enough to become the chief operating officer of a company that made and sold baby blankets when I was in my early 20s.
Okay.
Really lucky to have built that to, about 100 million in size. I had offices in London, Tokyo, all over the world, really.
Yeah.
And we had started making a skincare product because the whole concept was that mom and baby are often in the tub together, and there's different products for everybody. So why couldn't we make something that was like really great for both?
Yeah.
So as it turns out, the person who was our master chemist was out of a place called Vanguard Soap in Memphis.
Yeah.
And the story had come out that he had been making this, St. Luna in his backyard in Memphis for, 19 years before I found him.
Yeah.
So he was legit a moonshiner out of his backyard.
I love
and
that.
Completely separate. I had the idea to kind of revolutionize the category and show people that, yes, it's a moonshine, but it could be really tasty.
Sure.
I just had no idea how to make it.
Yeah.
So, one day I discover that Scott, who was a guy making our bar soap out of Memphis, was this master moonshiner. And I was like, great. Like, this is one of those things where, like, the universe just kind of gives you everything you need at the time
I love the universe.
you need it. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm like, great. Now I have a way to make it.
Yeah.
But I got busy, I think it's really hard to kind of like leave the security net of a thriving business that pays you well.
Sure.
Whether I was happy or unhappy, I was unhappy there.
Yeah.
But like I had a safety net. So a
Right.
year and
a steady income, all that
So
kind
you
of stuff.
put up with the bullshit,
Yeah.
as
For
long
that
as you
stability.
possibly can until
Yeah.
it gets so bad that you're just like, oh, I can't do this anymore.
Sure.
So about a year had passed between having the idea and discovering that Scott had been making this in his backyard. I'd never tried it before. And I remember waking up one morning and, it was just, we had gone through like our second round of private equity and it wasn't going fantastic.
Yeah.
They were replacing everybody in the management team. I think I was on like my third or fourth CEO in a matter of like 6 months.
Perfect. So you want that continuity.
Yeah, like it was
Yeah.
it was rough. And to have been there from the onset when you were building and sort of like your soul went into building that business, to kind of watch it just be slowly destroyed over time.
Yeah.
It's hard,
Sure. It's like, it's necessary because you need the money.
Yeah.
Right. But like also it's a business still. And like there are people involved and your whole life at this point, is kind of being poured into this.
And completely wrapped up in it,
Sure. Yeah.
So I woke up that morning unhappy as most days, but this particular morning I was like, I just can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
I'm just so done. And I remember driving to work, like I lived in the West Village and I would drive my dogs over to, the office in Dumbo, and I'm driving across the Brooklyn Bridge and I called Scott and I was like, hey man, remember like a year ago we talked about that moonshine you make in your backyard. Like, do you think I can fly down and try it? Like, this would have been Monday.
Sure.
And he's like, yeah, sure, come down. When do you want to come down? I was there by like Friday. I was like,
Actually, I'm on my way right now. Yeah.
yeah, right. I was like, we got to do this. Like,
Yeah.
let's just at least try it. So the hysterical part, though, is I had never met Scott in person. Like, everything had been done sort of like remotely. Like, I'd had many conference calls with him, but never in person.
Yeah.
So it was sort of one of those like weird after school specials where it's like, I'm getting into a strange dude's car and
Right.
then like
Going to try moonshine in his backyard.
not even his backyard.
Oh,
It was his
okay.
buddy Miller's farm.
Oh, great.
Like on the opposite side of Lookout Mountain. So
Yeah.
I was in a strange man's truck for like 2 hours, like driving like into the ass end of like Tennessee.
Yeah.
Right.
Which everyone wants to go. Yeah.
I'm just like geolocate,
Yeah, right. Dropping pins like crazy.
Right.
Friends and family.
I'm like
Yeah.
alive. I mean, he's a great guy. Both
Sure.
of them are great guys
Yeah.
and like really good friends now. And so we show up at his buddy's farm and he's got his homemade still set up in the driveway. And he had used a beer keg because in addition to being, a soap maker and, a master distiller, he's like, a steam fitter, a pipe welder. Like he's just like
Yeah.
a mad scientist genius.
Yeah.
And so here he's got this beer keg set up in the driveway that he's converted into a still. Because he's like, it gives you like the best distribution of heat if you use a beer keg.
Sure.
So we sat there and we stilled St. Luna all day. And I was like, this is delicious. Like we could turn this into a really cool business.
Yeah.
And I made him a partner. And I was like, why don't you just focus on making sure that it's made beautifully every single time.
Yep.
And I can focus on the sales, the marketing piece of it. And let's see if we can turn it into a business.
Yeah.
And what attracted me to moonshine, which is not an intuitive category for a lot of people.
Sure.
was,
Especially in this area, I would imagine too, right?
It's, it's not intuitive anywhere because the moonshine that's on the market, even in the South, is cheap.
Yeah.
Like it's, my stuff is not cheap, but it's
Right.
also exceptional quality and it's built for, beautiful cocktails. It's built for getting a really nice big ice cube and just sipping it because it's got such great texture and flavor to it.
Yeah.
It's not intuitive, but what I thought was it's unique and it's different. So for me, trying to sell to a bar or a restaurant where you may already have 37 vodkas or 37 tequila options, the one thing I can almost guarantee you don't have is a craft moonshine.
Right.
And so it always sparks a fantastic conversation when you can get somebody to try it and understand what the product is because of its uniqueness. And it's tasty as hell.
Yeah, well, I have a myriad of questions, but I do want to try it.
I have some for you.
Beautiful, thank you. So we'll hold it up for the camera. We'll hold it up to this camera just so it's a little bit easier to see, like that.
And even down to the packaging.
It's beautiful. I love the label,
very elevated.
the logo, and like if you looked at it, you're not thinking moonshine.
You're not, because when we briefed the ad agency that created this for us, a big thing was it needed to be approachable, sophisticated, but I also wanted to be able to sort of like pay homage to that part of American history that was moonshine.
Sure.
But in a way where you'd still walk into a bar in like London or Paris and see this and it would make sense.
Yeah.
And you could sort of pay homage and pay tribute to that piece of American history.
Yeah, for sure.
So St. Luna's St. Moon, it's a navy blue label that represents the night sky with like a star constellation in the background.
Beautiful.
So they did a great job designing it.
Yeah. Okay, let's give it a shot.
Yeah, so you're going to get lots of caramel, some molassesy, vanilla. I tend to get a lot of like, notes of grapefruit and some banana because it's got like a high sort of like proof count to it.
Yeah. Oh, wow, that's really good.
Right? So like my favorite...
I'm in tequila world right now. That's what it tastes like to me. Or like a borderline like... Well, maybe... Let me take another sip.
But see, keep trying and more of those notes come out.
Yeah, I think I'm in... Wow. No, maybe it's like a fruity tequila.
Yeah.
Sad. I feel like that's kind of where I'm at right now. It may change as we continue to drink more.
It definitely will.
Yeah. So I think one of the questions that I have is, so you have obviously like beautiful branding. It's a delicious spirit, all that kind of stuff. It's being made at the time when you first like kind of, I guess, discover it, so to speak, by some guy in his driveway in the middle of Tennessee someplace. What was it that really, what's the question that I'm looking for? Like, I've watched the show Moonshiners, and when guys go from the woods to legit, there's like a little bit of a jump, So like taking it from the driveway and into what I would imagine is a little bit more of a sophisticated setup, I guess. So talk to me about like that process and making sure that quality of the product that you had tasted there, it translates into like that next level.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'd love to say that there was a tremendous amount of skill in it. I think there was some.
Yeah.
But we got really lucky.
Okay.
Like every step of the way, it was like the universe was just like, here you go, here you go, here you go. So when I had found Scott, he was just a mad scientist genius. So he was able to sort of like write this down to its like formulaic. He could hand it to the distiller and be like, this is exactly what I want you to make, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Right after I met Scott, I had my little sample. And I went to the Small Batch Distillers Conference in Pittsburgh, found a husband and wife team that nailed the recipe on the first try.
Amazing.
Back when I was making baby blankets, I'd already had a contact at Berlin Packaging who sourced all our packaging, labeling, everything for us.
Yeah.
And then during the pandemic, I was lucky enough to find my other business partner, Aubrey Slater, who is just a legend in the mixology space. So it was all just sort of lining up to where I had somebody fantastic that could make the product. I had somebody fantastic that, could help us like create beautiful cocktails and had a fantastic network like in the bar scene.
Yeah.
To help us get the word out.
Yeah. And then, so I guess the other question that I have too is when you decide to make that jump, I mean, obviously like it needs to be like from, full-time doing your thing at your, full-time job now to kind of taking this chance on something that like, so when we're talking about this and you decide to take that jump, what is it about this that like you said, like, the universe kind of aligned and kind of gave you these things, but obviously like pulling the plug on something that's safe and going into something that's inherently unsafe because like you still have to go sell it and make sure that people want it and like are into the idea of moonshine in their craft cocktail bar. So take me through like a little bit of that and like did you kind of test it a little bit and, almost kind of with local places that you were friendly with or whatever? What was the
We did. So
like?
I was super lucky to get into Employees Only and Jean-Georges like right off the bat.
Okay.
And my theory was always they're two very different customers. We did well. Like we were in a to-go Negroni at Employees Only that did really well, and then we were in a mojito at Jean-Georges for about a year that did really well.
Okay.
And I'm like, if we can do well in both of those places with almost opposite types of customers, like, it's just a matter of getting the word out and getting people to try it. I still stayed at my previous company for probably 8 months while this was in that sort of development phase. But I also think that that's part of being an entrepreneur, and like what excites people, like what excites you and gets you up every day is that like building and the excitement behind all of that.
Yeah.
When I was making baby blankets, the exciting pieces were like trying to figure out how the hell to do it.
Right.
And then you get to a stage of business where your entire job is managing people, and that sucks.
Yeah. It does suck. Yeah.
It's the doing and the building from the ground up and kind of watching people's reactions as you're getting out into the marketplace. That's the exciting bit.
Yeah.
The Mayo Performing Arts Center is the heart of arts and entertainment in Morristown, New Jersey. MPAC presents over 200 events annually and is home to an innovative children's arts education program. To see MPAC's upcoming schedule of world-class concerts, stand-up comedy, family shows, and more, head to mayoarts.org or just click the link in our show notes.
Hey folks, I want to tell you about the crew over at Make Cool Shit. These are the magicians who recently gave our podcast a jaw-dropping makeover. You know how we roll here at Greetings from the Garden State podcast, right? We're all about that Garden State attitude. Well, Make Cool Shit shares that same vibe, and they've got something absolutely epic to offer. It's called the Unlimited Cool Shit Design Subscription. It's a game changer, my friends. Imagine this: unlimited creativity, one flat monthly fee, and none of that boring stuff. It's like having your very own army of design superheroes on speed dial. Whether you're a fresh-faced startup or a seasoned business looking to shake things up, the team at Make Cool Shit has got your back. It's all about making your brand sizzle, no matter where you are in your journey. So if you're ready to turn your ideas into mind-blowing realities, then it's time to connect with Make Cool Shit. Check them out on Instagram at WeMakeCoolShit or visit their website, WeMakeCoolShit.co. Remember, that's co, not com. So being, I guess, you mentioned your partner, mixologist.
Yeah.
Remind me her name again?
Aubrey.
I'm going to write that down so I don't forget. So like when you guys are out trying to sell it to like a bar and get it on a cocktail menu or just get it behind the bar, what is the play, I guess? I mean, I guess what we were talking about before, like you have so many kind of XYZ spirits, but is it a hard sell? Are people just like, why would I have a moonshine? Like who's ever going to order that?
That took us a bit of time to figure out, to be honest. Because I think it's who you pitch, and that makes it a much easier sell than some of the others.
Yeah.
When you're targeting craft cocktail bars that are looking for innovative, small, curated brands with a fantastic story, it's a super easy sell.
Yeah.
Like, it's just getting them to try it. Because I think once people hear, the word moonshine, they start to shut down a little bit because they're like, they anticipate that it's going to suck. Whereas when I tell them that it's
a drink or something,
But I'm like, it's a craft spirit made from molasses and rye. Like, that mash bill doesn't exist. So if you're a mixology person, you're instantly intrigued by just that mash bill alone because it doesn't exist.
Right.
So then you try it and your world starts to go, all right, well, I could go classic daiquiri, I could go Negroni, I could go tiki with it. Like, there's so many variety in cocktails that you can do with St. Luna that I think in that real crafty mixology space, people get excited.
Right.
And then you tie it back to, Aubrey and I are out there pounding the pavement. We're real people every single day, not part of a much larger conglomerate that a lot of brands are.
And I think that is something that's really, especially like in this area, I would imagine, is seemingly the trend almost. Like work with local
they
people,
want the story.
people that they can connect with, and they want the story.
Yeah,
exactly.
like we're at Sirenetta now, and I live like 4 blocks away.
Yeah.
So it was an easy decision for them to want to support me because I live in the neighborhood, and it's a fantastic spirit on top of that.
So we were talking off mic before about my experiences previously with moonshine brands that are on the lower side. But so I guess from the product standpoint, is this the one, or are there other I guess, flavors? Because I think that would be something that people would be curious about, because when they see moonshine brands out of the store, there's like 8 different kinds you can get, you know?
Yeah,
so
I always think that there's a place for everybody. So, you know, our stuff, St. Luna, does not typically lend itself to like beer and shot type places. Like, you're not going to find us at a pub because we're much more craft cocktail focused.
Yeah.
You're going to find us at like a Michelin starred restaurant, whereas like some of the other moonshine brands are more pub like, you know, it's just the nature on how you drink it, right? Like you would take a shot of an apple pie moonshine, whereas, you know, this you're going to make a gorgeous boulevardier with and, you know, have a beautiful experience with it.
Yeah. Talk to me also about starting in May of 2019, and we were off mic talking also about how like the timing of that was obviously somewhat unfortunate given world circumstances.
Did not anticipate.
Yeah, you didn't? That's so weird. I was like on it. I was like, this is going to happen.
Do you know what sucked though? Like I was, so we're,
I mean, the pandemic.
Right. Like aside from, you know, everything that went on with it, we're doing great at Jean-Georges. Like, they loved us. And, you know, Jean-Georges Nougatine is probably, like, the least crafty cocktail-wise of all of them, right? Like Mercer Kitchen, ABC, they were much more crafty in nature, and hadn't gotten into those yet. So I was on a road trip down. I think I was in Memphis. And I'm sitting on the couch, like, you know, going through email and stuff. We're chatting about, like, getting into all the other Jean-Georges locations and stuff. And, like, the news comes on, and it's like, you know, a run on toilet paper. I swear to God. And because I'm looking at my business partner, Scott, who I was staying with, and I'm like, Scott, like, I've been on the road for like 2 weeks. I don't know how much toilet paper I have at home. And I'm like, should I buy some here?
Yeah.
Like, should I pack it in my suitcase? I'm like, what the fuck?
Oh, my God.
And then I sat on my couch for like a year and a half and just like drank half my stash because I was like, you know, nobody wanted to drink anything crafty. It was all about the big brand names that you knew.
Yeah, get it cheap, you know.
Yeah, that was exactly right. But there was, you know, Aubrey was the beverage director at Mother of Pearl for a while in Lower East Side, beautiful tiki vegan spot, and they shut down. So I was able to snap her up to kind of like convince her to come and join the entrepreneurial ride with me. Sure. Because of the pandemic, whereas I don't know that I would have been able to get her if that was the case. Yeah.
When you're out, I mean, obviously there must be there's like a potential places where you could have your stuff behind a bar. There's like a pretty clear, you know, kind of type of place that you want to get to. Are you showing up with like cocktails? Are you mixing some stuff there on site to show them like what it can do? Like, talk me through that process, just because I don't know. I don't really know how that works.
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, a lot of times the bartender likes to create on their own, so we leave them samples, or, you know, our Instagram has a ton of cocktail recipes that Aubrey's come up with over the years. Sure. So it just depends on where we go. Yeah. You know, some of them want recipes because they're busy and it's easier if we just give them a handful of things, whereas other people are like, no, like that's part of the process. Like they do their own R&D, and, you know, sometimes it takes them a bit of time to get to something that they really like.
Yeah. Okay. So then you drink through half your stash. Yeah. Things start to kind of open up a little bit more. Take me through kind of like from that point almost till now and how things are going, and you know, where you're at, like where people can go and find it. Like, take me through all that kind of stuff.
Even that took a while. Sure. Because I don't think people realized that when bars opened, they had a basement full of inventory that they had paid for that they had to get through.
I didn't think about that. Yeah.
And like no money. Right. So, you know, it took a bit of time before anybody was in that creative headspace to want to try anything new. Yeah. Are you at this point like, shit, I made the worst mistake, like jumping from, you know, like the safe thing at that point in time, just, you know, given like the coincidental timing of all of it, and now kind of on your own and being, you know, kind of out on an island by yourself, so to speak. Was there any like semblance of regret, I guess? You know, I think it's interesting because as an entrepreneur, I think that's like a daily battle that people have.
100%.
Like,
I have that battle every day.
Yeah, like you have really great days. You know, like we've been in Forbes 5 or 6 times with various cocktails, and like that's a great day. Sure. And then you have days where just people tell you to, you know, get out.
Yeah.
Like, we don't want to talk to you, and your stuff sucks. Like, you suck, and you're just like, all right, God, yeah. Today I regret it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But then I remember, I kind of get brought back to like how utterly unhappy I was, and not wanting to go back into that corporate space.
Sure.
And kind of being in this very entrepreneurial space where I've never had more fun than being on the bar side of things.
Yeah. So I'm sorry I cut you off. So bars, restaurants, they have the inventory, they don't have any money, and
so it took a while.
Yeah.
And it's also us learning where we can play and like what markets we do well in and what bars we do really well in.
Right.
So now we're pretty much all of Uptown Hoboken, Stingray, Sirenetta, Sorellina, Olivia's, like all the Uptown spots have us. We're at a number of like fantastic cocktail spots in New York. We just signed a distribution deal with, Maverick Beverage in Minnesota, so they're super excited to have us.
Yeah, I was just going to ask about like the distribution end of it, because obviously, like, to get it on a shelf in a liquor store and all that kind of stuff, I feel like and this would definitely stand out in that section of the store.
It does, and we do tastings. We're at Ocean Resorts down in Atlantic City.
Oh, great!
They've been really great to us.
It's a great place. It's like Ocean is. Awesome.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, we were just down in Atlantic City a couple weeks ago, just kind of bouncing around. It's like a new cocktail spot down there. You should check that out. A few others.
I'd
places.
love to.
Yeah. So now that you kind of getting your legs back under you at this point with the brand and kind of getting it out there more, and now that things have kind of gone back to normal, so to speak, obviously like the distribution thing I would imagine is going to be major for the brand overall, but where do you see kind of the brand going? Is it still kind of continuing to build the foundation, or is there other things you're trying to add on to the business as a whole?
I think it's always like as a spirit brand, it's about building the foundation because there's so much competition out there.
Yeah.
Even though we're the only craft moonshine typically on a back bar,
right,
there's still a tremendous amount of competitors trying to vie for that space.
Yeah.
So for us, it's just continuing to build that footprint. When I first started, my goal was always get mixology people excited about our brand, get brand awareness up in that arena before we started going direct to consumer, let's say.
Sure.
And more and more we walk into bars and people have heard of us, people have tried our stuff. Like, we're on the cocktail list at Danny Meyer's Porch Light now by Hudson Yards.
Yep.
That beverage director was like, I've used your stuff. Like, I love this.
Oh, great.
I had never met him before.
Yeah.
And walking in, he's like, he already knew who we were, which, being on the market from May of 2019 till now and starting to have that impact at really nice, well-known spots is a great feeling. That's one of the good days.
Right. That is a good day.
That's a good day.
Yeah.
And we just keep building from there.
Yeah. What is it? So I guess from a brand building standpoint, is it primarily just kind of like boots on the ground, just getting into places and making sure that people are aware of the stuff, at a bar and using the stuff to make cocktails? Are you doing is there like other outside the box things that you're working on because you are so niche, really? I mean, it's like hyper niche, I would imagine, like a quality craft moonshine, is not something that exists really outside of here, I would imagine. So
definitely hyper niche.
Yeah.
But I will say that when we get on a cocktail list, we're usually one of the better selling cocktails because it stands out.
Okay.
So you as a guest come in and you see, a moonshine in a jungle bird or, a pina colada. You can ask about it.
Got me in the back of the throat a little bit.
That's the rye.
All right. Yeah.
You're going to ask about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the bartender's going to be like, it's our favorite cocktail, actually.
Yeah.
And we're always one of the better selling cocktails. So even though it's niche, our focus has been getting on cocktail lists because there's no competition for it. And that helps us stand out to people without having a tremendous marketing budget like a lot of the other brands do.
Yeah.
Recently, now that we're a little bit bigger, we're starting to do more like industry nights where we partner with local bars and just try to invite as many of the industry sort of like trade people that we can and friends of friends and network as best we possibly can.
Yeah. What's it like when you come here for a cocktail and then you're like, I'll have my brand. Mm-hmm. Is that that's got to be dope? Just like walk in and be like, I'm that's mine. I'll have a cocktail with that in it. Is that cool?
That's cool, but like what's even more cool is like when a friend texts you and is like,
Oh, okay.
I'm at, Dutch
cooler.
Kills, and like your bottle is like on the back bar, and it's like, get it.
Yeah. So the Hoboken area obviously is pretty covered. I would imagine like northern, or you said uptown Hoboken, as far as like, craft. Maybe this is running right through me. Craft spirit bars, and craft cocktail bars, that have you behind the bar. Where else can people go? As Ocean also, but are there other spots around Jersey that people can go and find it?
There are. So we're at Luna in Jersey City.
Okay.
We're at 626. We're at Skinner's Loft.
Okay.
And we're still trying to get our name out there.
Yeah. So if people are listening to this and they're like, man, I really want to learn more, where are places that you would send them to do that?
Our Instagram is St. Luna Spirits, all spelled out, and our website is stlunaspirits.com. And we post all of our cocktail recipes. We post everywhere we're going to be doing tastings and where we are. And, the big thing for us is if you're out, ask for it. Even if the bar doesn't have it,
right,
let the bar team know that you'd be interested in trying it, because that helps me tremendously when I walk into that bar 3 weeks later and I'm like, hey, I want to show you something.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, we've heard of that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think just like that goes a long way, because it shows that people, like you mentioned, like the developing relationships, being boots on the ground. And right now, I think there's really only 2 of you said, that are kind of the boots on the ground directly for the brand itself. But then if 10 people know about it and they're out there, that's 10 more boots.
And that's how we've gotten into all the spots that we have now.
Yeah, which is amazing. Okay, so what is the Instagram handle? So
St. Luna Spirits. So SAINTLUNASPIRITS.
Are we in liquor stores any place?
We are. So uptown Hoboken, we are at Cheese and Wine. We're at ShopRite. We're at Sparrow. We're at Jersey Wine and Spirits in Jersey City.
Awesome. Yeah. And we hit, I think, all the stuff that we're trying to hit for this episode. Did we miss anything?
I don't think so.
Okay, great. All right, so website. Let's hit them with the website also. So
stlunaspirits.com.
Okay, if they go to the website, they can't order it from the website.
They can.
They can order it. That's another good thing to know.
You can order it from the website. You're better off, honestly, going into your liquor store, because the way that the laws work is I have to route it through a liquor store anyway, and you're going to end up paying shipping for that. Whereas if you have a favorite liquor store, it's easier to just get them to special order it or something like that.
Yeah, amazing. So stlunaspirits.com.
Yes, and we have a store locator where you can type in your zip code and it'll tell you the closest liquor store to you that carries it.
Amazing. And then St. Luna Spirits on Instagram, and those are the 2 hubs that we want people to go there to learn more and try it and go ask for it at your local cocktail bar.
Yes, please.
Yeah. This has been amazing, and this is delicious. So I really appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks.
Helping get this set up and chatting with me a little bit and for the taste.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So again, this has been the Greetings from the Garden State podcast. We were here with David Suk today at Sirenetta in Hoboken, New Jersey. Make sure you go check out the links, stlunaspirits.com and St. Luna Spirits on Instagram. We'll make sure we tag those in the show notes as well, so you can just go click them, go check it out, learn more about it, order it, ask for it at your bar or your local liquor store. Thank you again, and thank you to Sirenetta and Graham for hosting us and opening up a little bit earlier for us to do this. This has been
thanks.
great.
Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Also, greetingswithgardenState.com in the show notes as well, so you can go check out all of our other episodes that we posted throughout the year, because we're continuing to crush it with guests, including this one. So thank you again, and thank you everybody for listening, and we'll catch you next time.